Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to StageZero Life Sciences channel on a mission to help reduce the incidence of late-stage cancer through early intervention. Joining us to discuss and kind of take us through the recent earnings, James, the Chief Executive Officer. First and foremost, welcome, sir.
Morning, Kyle.
Pleasure to get you on. So this is a fascinating time for you guys. I know you're starting to see quarter-over-quarter growth, but I want to kind of break this down into segments here. Just taking a look first and foremost for Q1, you saw about 15.2% growth, generating around $779,000 in revenue over that last quarter. Can you kind of discuss the specifics driving this growth and some of the, just the segments that you're seeing here?
Yes, by all means. I think, first of all, it's to put it into context versus COVID. Coming out of being a normal lab with a lot of what we did, we went from being cancer to COVID. And then what you've got to do as COVID comes to an end, you've got to pivot back out of COVID into the normal cancer. And so that is essentially what happened during 2022 and then the first part of 2023. If you think about the fact that COVID by and large dried up about the middle of 2022, there's relatively little point in comparing what we did, for example, this quarter versus what we did in 2022. Because it's not apples to apples. So we've focused it in so people can make more sense of it. And that's where we're very pleased that we're showing growth. It's modest growth. The revenue at this point is still modest. We're looking for all of the major programs to kick into high gear where we get much more significant growth. But the really good thing for us is it's moving in the right direction. As the programs come into play, it will build.
Yeah, I appreciate the insight. And just talking about kind of, the projection into the future and where some of this growth is going to come from. You recently launched the COC Protocol 2 in the US and Canada, and now your COC clinics are on path to full profitability by the end of Q3. Do you want to kind of just break this down and what this means?
Yes. Coming into this, essentially, there were two segments, two pieces to the business. Part of us is the lab testing. So in other words, Aristotle, primarily Aristotle, although we still do have a single test for colorectal cancer, for prostate, and for breast. But the real focus is on the multi-cancer diagnostic. So if you think about just a refresher for everyone, don't forget Aristotle is single blood test, 10 different cancers, high sensitivity and specificity, and it differentiates between the cancers and it finds early stage cancer as well as late. So if you think of that as the primary focus that we had, we first of all moved into a telehealth platform to make sure that, we had that sort of broad reach. And that actually was absolutely critical during COVID. We would not have got the COVID business that we did without having telehealth in place. And we wouldn't be getting the cancer business we do today without telehealth. The next thing as we looked at it on building out was we actually needed a clinic group to link with, to be able to offer Aristotle, to be able to back Aristotle up. And so we've been talking with Care Oncology for a while. Instead of actually partnering with them, we decided to acquire them. And we spent the better part of the last year and a half integrating them. And it's now critical because where we've gone from what was a lab test on one side and sort of a clinical offering on the other, it's now a combined offering. And it's absolutely critical because for employers to want to work with us, they want an end-to-end solution. They don't just want a lab result. You've got to be able to triage it. You've got to be able to guide it and drive it through. So upgrading Care Oncology has been critical. And we launched a new combined protocol as we take it out so that it's not just the treatment. And remember that the claim to fame on the protocol is the doubling of survival rates in stage 4 glioblastoma patients in essentially the first 18 months. We're preparing for what is called Metrics 2. It's a multi-center study. We're on UK and Toronto in terms of where we are. We're going to expand to earlier stage glioblastoma. We're also going to do a lot of neuroimaging as we track all of this down. And the other advantage with this is that it actually builds into Aristotle because we will now have a blood test for glioblastoma.
Yeah, this is pretty incredible stuff. I really appreciate you kind of just breaking this down and explaining it all in a more simple manner here, kind of giving us some clerical view. But do you want to just talk a little bit about the cap structure side of this? I know some people might be more intrigued by the dilution, your shares outstanding, maybe some institutional, the difference between institutional insider and retail ownership.
Yes, we have essentially about 106 million shares outstanding. Offhand, I don't know fully diluted. But institutional shareholding, not large, not large. We are primarily, in fact, we're overwhelmingly retail owned. If I look at sort of closely held, insiders closely held, we're probably about 30% in terms of where it is. Our AGM was yesterday. Our single largest shareholder, in actual fact, is one of the directors, and he holds some sort of mid-teens in terms of where it is. We will move out. It's difficult to attract really large institutional shareholding when you have a market cap and a share price where we have. We're looking for that to build. As market cap builds, the share price builds. Obviously, the larger funds can begin to play, and we will move to that then.
Yeah, definitely like the idea that at least insiders are showing the conviction behind the company. It's a pretty large ownership, but I'll pass that question off to the viewers. We'd love to know what you guys think in that comment section below. Consider subscribing because news is going to hit the wire. We're going to continue to update you here, but on that, we look forward to catching you in the next one.